And I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Madam President. We thank the UN Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process, Tor Wennesland, for his informative briefing on the situation in the region, in the Middle East region. We continue to closely monitor developments in the West Bank and East Jerusalem in the context of ongoing clashes at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, in which more than 152 Palestinians were injured after Israeli security forces used tear gas and rubber bullets to quell the protesters. We express our deep concern over the escalation of tensions that took place against the backdrop of a general surge of violence in Israeli cities, which resulted in the death of more than 40 people, both Palestinians and Israelis, over the past month. In this regard, we note the need to exercise restraint as well as to refrain from provocative steps and unilateral actions in order to prevent a repetition of the scenario of May of last year, when unrest in Jerusalem escalated into days of violent Palestinian-Israeli military clashes. We recall once again that violating the historical and legal status quo of the holy sites is unacceptable, and highlight the stabilizing role of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, which is historically responsible for protecting the Muslim holy sites of Jerusalem and ensuring free access to them. Madam President, the situation, as we heard today from Tor Wennesland, is aggravated by the aggressive settlement policy of Israel on the West Bank of the Jordan River and in East Jerusalem, which is contrary to international law. For instance, procedures to authorize the expansion of 132 settlements are moving ahead at full speed. Last year alone, construction began on 1,270 settler housing units, and tenders were announced for an additional 3,467 housing units on the West Bank and more than 500 in Jerusalem. More than 140 settlement outposts also remain, even though they are illegal, including according to the Israeli legal system. Settlement plans for the occupied Syrian Golan also create the risk of general destabilization in the region. In the context of connivance on the part of Israeli authorities, a significant increase in the number of acts of aggression by the settlers has also been recorded. We call on Israel to abandon radical steps to create irreversible realities on the ground, including the destruction of Palestinian homes, confiscation of their property, and arbitrary arrests, and to resume the peace process within a universally recognized international legal framework. Madam President, the root cause of the regular outbursts of tension and the cyclical escalation of violence in the Middle East is the unresolved Palestinian question. Recent developments in Jerusalem demonstrate the urgency of resolving the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. To prevent such recurrences of violent confrontation, it is necessary to focus international and regional efforts on creating conditions for relaunching direct negotiations between Palestinians and Israelis within the framework of the agreed two-state formula, Palestine and Israel coexisting in peace and security within the 1967 borders. At the same time, we are convinced of the relevance and need to intensify multilateral efforts to create a favorable atmosphere for the talks. For our part, we continue to engage with Palestinians and Israelis, as well as interested in international and regional stakeholders. On April 18th, Russian President Vladimir Putin had a telephone conversation with President of the State of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, during which the importance of restarting direct dialogue between Palestine and Israel, in particular under the auspices of the Quartet of International Mediators, was emphasized. We reaffirm our intention to cooperate with our Quartet partners to increase the effectiveness of the work of this format, which has been endorsed by the UN Security Council. At the same time, we would like to note the importance of coordination between the international mediators and regional partners. This is exactly what prompted Russia's initiative to hold an expanded ministerial meeting of the Middle East Quartet with key members of the Arab League. We would also like to underscore that progress in the peace process is impossible without restoring intra-Palestinian unity on the basis of the Palestine Liberation Organization. We stand ready to work with other interested parties, in particular our Egyptian friends, to provide the necessary assistance in this area. Madam President, Russia will continue its efforts to consolidate international consensus and coordinate joint efforts in favor of a just solution to the Palestinian problem. We are disappointed that our colleagues in the quartet again and again refuse to cooperate on resuming the Middle East peace process. As we can see, attempts to monopolize it and impose economic peace on the Palestinians instead of a just solution that would meet their aspirations to create their own independent state will not produce concrete results. Madam President, regrettably, we once again heard attempts today to shift the blame and accuse Russia of the impending food crisis, including in the Middle East. We see this as an attempt to draw attention away from the failures of Western states and the sanctions that and unilateral coercive measures that they have introduced, and which are precisely the root cause of the situation that is currently emerging. Our Western colleagues could easily solve this problem if they simply chose to, so there is no need to engage in demagoguery and to mislead the members of the Security Council. Thank you very much.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.